I've always loved the genre of David and Goliath movies and that sort of underdog thing. And I think I grew up as somebody, who was the kind of an underdog in school and somebody who was, bullied to a certain extent. So the idea of this being a movie about people who feel powerless and see that there's something wrong in their world and go out and try to change it was a story that I've always loved seeing those kinds of stories in film.
Well, I hadn't known Daniel. I had seen his first film, Phoebe in Wonderland, which I liked a lot. And so I was anxious to talk to him about this. And he was very seductive about what he wanted to do with the movie. And I joined it relatively late. You were, the script had gone through a couple of iterations, and there were things I liked about it, and there were things that I thought could be improved. And it was a great collaboration. We were sort of working on the script. The script was being written and rewritten while we were preparing the movie, and I love the idea of, and Daniel calls it a David and Goliath story, but I love the idea of two women who don't realize their power and what they can do, and in the interest of improving their kids' education, realize that the message we certainly want to give is that you can do something. You can actually do something about a situation, and not everything is impossible to overcome. And so we use movies like Erin Brockovich or Norma Ray as models of characters who don't even suspect that they have it in them to mount this kind of offensive. And so it was one of the best experiences I've had making a movie.
Viola's an actress that I have revered forever.
But she didn't know that. You'd never met her, right?
No. I think it was ever since I saw Antoine Fisher, and she had about 4 words in that film, and was mesmerizing. So I wrote it for her. I brought it to her, and I was, I remember our first meeting fairly vividly because we were showing up, and I was dying for her to do the role. I had never met her before, and I was stuck in traffic in Midtown Manhattan, and I was trying to get to the meeting, and I can't stand being late. So at a certain point, I had to get out of the cab, and I just broke into a jog so I could get to this meeting. It was a very hot and humid day. So I show up with the sweat pouring off of my face. I mean, I've never looked more like Albert Brooks in broadcast news. And Viola was very sweet. She took one look at me and said, I think I'm going to have a glass of champagne. Perhaps you'd like one, too. She knew. And she's wickedly smart. And the thing that she observed immediately about the role was that the way that the role had been constructed in the sort of beginning of the film, when she's more shut down, was sort of was coming alive nicely. But when she gets to the point where she really begins to discover her voice, that some of those scenes needed to be built out a bit more. And I think they gave rise to some of what I think ended up being some of the most captivating scenes in the movie, including when she is sitting with all the teachers and she sort of just breaks loose with them there. And Maggie, I mean, is also an astonishing actress, and I think she has that sort of fiery passion, as a person. So when you were thinking about the role of a fighter, she just immediately came to mind, and we sought her quite actively. She also has this sort of great warmth, and as this sort of, she's this sort of kind of eternal optimist. And I think one of the things so interesting about watching her performance is that she's she's sort of all these setbacks that she gets, she just sort of keeps forging ahead. And I think those kinds of heroes are really wonderful to see on screen.
For other states that were offering the largest rebates, Pennsylvania was certainly one of them, and we liked the idea of setting it in Pittsburgh for a lot of reasons. And it was truly a great place to shoot, and it lent itself some real, I think, authenticity and a certain amount of almost a nondescript industrial city in America. It's not so much Pittsburgh. It is one of those cities. It's clearly not New York or Boston, but it just worked for us and for the story, and it was truly a terrific place to shoot.
I'm the son of teachers, and so I wanted to make a movie that was going to honor what I think is one of the greatest and most difficult professions that we have in this country. And I wanted Viola's story in particular to resonate with teachers and to affirm that the work that they do. And so some of the greatest responses that we've gotten have been from teachers, who come out of the movie saying, this I've taught for 40 years. This movie makes me want to go back into the classroom. Or other people come out and say, this movie makes me want to become a teacher. So the actual teachers themselves who come to see the movie, I think, understand that the movie is intended to be a great celebration of the work that they do.